This is the GSXS 1000. Smooth road, no hands. Even a baby could do it. Ah, there's some tubs. So I've gotten quite a bit of enjoyment, quite a bit of use out of my BT200X. It's been a great little bike, and I wouldn't recommend against anybody putting off a purchase on one of these guys if you're looking at them. There are some other great mini bikes out there, but I really have quite liked this one, and I'm going to continue liking it. I have come across a few different issues of my own that are not common problems. They just seem to have affected me. I have put a bit of wear on the bike, so I'm going to show you that I have actually gotten quite a bit of use out of this bike with some short clips, really quick here. Then I'm going to go into a list of tools if you're going to be looking to get a BT200X, and I'll show you some of the sources that I'm using where you can get help or find information about fixing up or troubleshooting any problems with the BT200X. Now, I do have some upgrades. I'm not really going to go into the upgrades. You may see the rear rack on there that was custom fit. I've got a different video for that. I've got a different video for the tires. This is really just going to be addressing some of the common problems and how to avoid getting onto them yourself, or how to avoid having those issues while you're riding your mini bike. So, I've taken this mini bike out on the snow. I've taken this mini bike into the snow. I've seen what the front forks can do and how this bike can handle. Before the snow, I've taken this bike out onto a dirt road, and the tires, the stock tires that they come with on a dirt road, are really not the best for traction. I've been having fun doing wheelies with the bike. It does take a little bit to wheelie, and there is a modification that I'll show you coming up here, how to modify the bike so it's a bit easier to do a wheelie, even though I'll put the disclaimer not to do wheelies. It's part of YouTube's thing. You gotta, and other video platforms, you do things at your own risk and all that. But using it to tow, to pull, to for ice fishing. I've gone through a foot of snow when it's flatland and hard packed, but I have not been able to get through a foot of snow a little bit lighter going uphill. I've taken the bike on ice with ice studs. With the different tires that I put in, I can get some incredible traction, but that doesn't account for what the bike is and the bike stability. I put a bit of gas through the gas tank, which is nice. I've been doing trail riding. I've been doing sort of street riding. I mean, out here it's dirt roads, but dirt road, street riding, trail riding, lake riding, ice riding, snow riding, uphill, downhill, and the bike overall is performing very well. So now coming back to common problems and what I'm going to recommend that you have on hand after you get the mini bike. A Phillips head screwdriver is going to help you out. A bit of Loctite or thread locker is going to be big. White lithium grease or another type of lubricant. A pair of pliers is going to be able to help take things apart. Cover case on the other side by the clutch. And then seafoam and storage stabilizer. I use both simply because I don't want anything to gel up on me. This is a detergent compound. This is going to be a stabilizer compound. So rolling away there. And then I used a drill bit and a drill to drill off something that I don't feel should have been welded on. The wrench set, I used my own wrench set. I thought that the toolkit that came with the mini bike was really good at first until I realized that I couldn't actually tighten down the handlebar well enough, and it started flopping around. The wrench set that came with it, as soon as I started putting enough pressure to actually keep these bars stable on there, it bent out the wrenches and stripped them out. So go ahead and grab this stuff, and then we'll take a look at what's going on with some of the common problems I've seen from other people and what I've experienced myself. The first thing is how the bike was packaged and delivered from Walmart and the areas damaged from delivery itself. Now, when I purchased the bike from Walmart, this seemed to be a common thing. It doesn't seem as common anymore. I'm not seeing it as common anymore, but the packaging being damaged in the same place in the rear right-hand side of the frame itself. When I get a new tank of gas that's going to be for small engines, one of the first things that I do with this gas tank is I put in the recommended amount of stabilizer and just a little bit of the sea foam as well. I haven't actually heard of anybody else combining the two, but it hasn't hurt anything that I've used. Making sure that your gas stays good, and when it gets in these tanks, in case you happen to put the mini bike aside for a long time, or if you get injured because you're doing something stupid with the bike, or anything that could come up, having that fuel stabilizer in there, having a little bit of detergent, will help prolong the life of the engines. Or at least that's just been my experience. I haven't had any problems. I've been storing things for years. You may look around here and see quite a few small engines: ice fishing auger, pressure washer, outboard engines. There's actually a couple of them over there. And then I've got a 2.5 inch semi-trash pump, snow thrower. I'm actually not seeing the lawnmower, the leaf blower probably behind the way there. I've got this little girl's mini bike, which has got a very small gas tank and small fuel lines. That's been running just fine. 2 motorcycles over there, and I've been using the same combination for quite some time. It's been very effective. This can help prevent gumming of carbs if your engine sits for a little bit. It can gum up faster than you may think instead of a couple of months. One of the common problems being, make sure you keep your lines clear, your carbs clear, your jet clear. For the next issue that I've seen quite a few people have, you're going to want to grab a pair of pliers or a wrench of some sort, and you're going to be taking these tabs off, these holding pins, off of your jack shaft cover. So I'm going to do that right now. I'll show you how to get them back on easily as well. They can be a bit stubborn to come off, and they are even more stubborn to get back on there. This is where you will be needing some Loctite. So this little bolt, this little guy right here, that holds the clutch together, the first time I took this cover off, the cover was actually holding the thing in. It had unscrewed all the way out to a point where it was resting on my cover right on there. So I quickly put some Loctite on the threads and I screwed it back in, and I let that seal back in. Now, some lesser common problems, I have seen a few people where the tensioner, the chain tensioner here, has failed on them and they've had to rebuild it. If you look at my chain tensioner right here, where it's supposed to be held on, this part right here should actually be locked in place right there. So be very careful. You may want to check it every 5 hours or so. Depends how much riding you do. Just make sure that your chain tensioner is back in place. A little bit of lubricant in the clutch goes a long way as well. I do use white lithium grease. I'm not going to show you how to take care of the clutch, but because there have been a few clutch issues for some people. Sometimes the clutch runs just fine. Sometimes somebody may get a bad clutch. There are some nice replacement clutches to take a look at, but keep that little bit of Loctite on that bolt right there, and make sure that your spring holding your chain tensioner in place is where it needs to be. So I'm going to put this case back on, but I will let you know right now it is quite a pain to get these little pins back on. If you put your pliers on the smaller part here and you hold down really tight, sometimes this way it works better. You can thread in the bottom portion because it sticks out more. Lift up on the top portion and snap that back into place. I'll just show you really quick. This is not a common problem, but I'll just show you since I'm here. The cover, the safety cover for the exhaust on my bike is pretty loose. It moves around, does a little bit of a hula, back and forth, side to side. Not a common problem that I've seen, but just show you since I have come across the issue. On to the next common problem. The next common problem that I've seen quite a bit is going to require a Phillips head screwdriver and the white lithium grease. And it's going to be removing the air filter box. Now the air filter box itself has the cover, and then it has the air filter to remove underneath. And then underneath the air filter you're going to have a couple of screws to take off, here and here. So I've got the screws off of the lower part of the air box, and what I'm going to be taking a look here is where the throttle connects into the carb. Now this has actually locked up on me, and it may have been this part over here, or it may have been where the governor connects underneath the fuel tank as well. So I didn't want to risk it, and I hit both of them, but I've had this lock up on me, and I needed to use the kill switch while I was riding. Oh, now she's stuck. Now she's stuck. Oh, this is fun. I've lost all control of the mini bike as far as throttle goes. And look, no hand. Maybe no hands. Woo! This isn't right. So to fix this, I took white lithium grease, and I needed to have that straw on there, and I went around the base and I lifted right up on that little black part right there, and I sprayed underneath. So I took a screwdriver from the other side, just using this for demonstration purposes. Now it moves up and down just a little bit. I lifted it up and I worked it back and forth as I very slowly sprayed white lithium grease inside of it. I got the red straw in here, and I was able to lubricate over where the governor linkage is just a little bit as well, trying to make it just slight so that none of that gets into the engine, into the crankcase itself. So I have heard quite a few people who are having the problem where their throttle sticks on them. I thought it was because of very low temperatures. I have a video on that as well. People were having this issue above freezing temperatures, below freezing temperatures, colder temperatures. Really, a time that the climate changed on someone, their throttle would begin to stick on them. It's not as common that people are having any adjustment issues with the brake, but I will point out that just turn the nut in the back here if you want to tighten up the brake, if you don't feel like it's really pulling as hard as it should. The last one I've seen is common. Customer service. Coleman, for some people, they seem to be doing okay, they get things done. Me personally, I mean, I ordered parts through them and I've still never received all of the parts. It was a very frustrating experience. So some other locations where you can get parts, Tractor Supply Company, Ace Hardware. There's some online places that some people mention. I'm not gonna be mentioning them here. Just because there's going to be a lot of comments. By all means, if you have a great place that you recommend, throw it down in the comments below. Help other people out. I've had people helping me out and telling me where I can go online, and it's been amazing. So I'll leave that up to you guys out there who want to give shout outs to the companies that you've used and you trust. So the last thing, I'd be grabbing a drill bit of, what do we got here, 3/8? 3/8 or around that size drill bit, and I will be attacking the throttle stop screw. Now, I don't cut the screw off, and I would not recommend cutting the screw off. I would recommend drilling the head off if you are going to be changing that throttle stop screw. I do have a top speed video. The top speed video actually also goes into how I put on the rear rack, but This will make your mini bike a little bit more fun. And I'm going to say, if you drill out the head and you take out the screw, the best thing about that is you can put a screw back in case anybody younger and in case anybody is less experienced. You can control that throttle, you can scale it back a bit more easily. I'm not sure why it's welded in place. I don't really care for it having been welded in place, but you will bring your speed up a little bit. Like I said, I got a video if you want to check that out. So the online communities, lots of them are Facebook, lots of them are YouTube online communities. They're very specific to mini bikes, some of them specific to Coleman mini bikes. They've been very helpful, and if you need any help or tips, there have been some really great people on there. The Predator Engine group is actually very knowledgeable about engine repairs and engine help. Predator Engine fan. Online for YouTube, the Redbeard's Garage has actually been really good for seeing different modifications, step-by-step modifications in how to do things for the mini bike. And then Cars and Cameras has been really good with troubleshooting repairs and seeing what's going on with the engine as well, and seeing a little bit of fun that's going on underneath us. So with this, I hope that you're able to tighten down all the needed bolts as much as you can. Make sure that you can use the right things so that you don't have any dangerous scenarios come about, such as I did with the no hands scenario. And you're able to find parts that you need. None of this, I hope, discourages you from getting a Coleman or getting another mini bike. There are a lot of good brands out there I'm seeing right now. Hope you enjoyed the video, and I hope you have a great day.